Welcome to Man in America, a voice of reason in a world gone mad. I'm your host, Seth Holhouse. Right now, there is a seismic shift happening in the global economic system. If you look at what's happening with gold and silver, right? So silver's up over 40, gold's at record highs, hitting over $3,600 an ounce. This isn't some just surface phenomena. Gold and silver are not just investments or another asset you can own. They're canaries in the coal mine of the global financial system. And when they're spiking like this, they're telling us a lot of things. For one, it's showing that the mechanisms that the central bankers have used to suppress the prices of gold and silver are starting to fail. That's very significant because what happens is something that wants to go up, but has been held down for a very, very, very long time. When it finally breaks through, significant changes happen, and oftentimes you're going to see a massive spike in that asset. So that's one thing, but it's also an indicator of the dollar and the fact that the dollar is continuing to lose its value. And on top of that, you have central banks in other countries that are just dumping U.S. treasuries. They're running away from these U.S. treasuries as our own treasury is buying them back up, which begs to ask the question of, is this part of the plan also? Is Trump intentionally bringing a lot of the U.S. treasuries back under our own control for some particular reason? We'll get into that today. But it's also showing us much more about the changing system that we're witnessing right here. And this is what we're going to be diving into with my good friend, John Perez, who is an absolute expert on not just gold and silver, but the bigger picture of what they mean to the rest of the world. And so if you're asking questions of like Tether, for instance, a crypto giant company, who they are now positioning and moving money into gold and silver and mining, right? So metal mining companies and precious metals, that's a significant change. Even Bukele in El Salvador has sold a bunch of their Bitcoin, and a lot of people are speculating that he's actually putting the money from that Bitcoin into gold. The country just bought $50 million worth of gold. And so we even have Saudi Arabia, who just bought a bunch of silver. Okay, so they're putting a bunch of their money in on the silver market. So there's something really significant happening here. But what does it mean? How does it all tie together? Because we know that if you look at the inflation in America, which is just inflation is another way for saying the dollar is losing its value, right? Is it going to approach hyperinflation? Who knows? But what we know is that something big is changing, and we're going to be digging into it and understanding what's really going on here. Because again, the gold and silver are the canary in the coal mine. And the reality is there's a debt bubble so massive that's encompassing the entire world, basically because of the central bankers, because of the fiat currency of the US dollar, that when that bubble bursts, it's not if, it's when, everything changes. And I think that what we're seeing, especially with the movement of precious metals, is a strong indicator that there are massive changes. And then we're also going to be getting into some charts and some information on the stock market, which show us what's really going on behind the scenes with the stock market. So this is going to be a pretty wild interview. So buckle up. John Perez, a good friend of mine. We're very high energy. It's going to be very back and forth. It's going to be exciting. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with John Perez. Mr. John Perez, man, I love having you on the show. I'm so excited to talk to you. Thank you for being here today.
Super glad to be back. It's been a while. It's been a Wild West in the precious metals world, and everything's buzzing. But glad to be back. Glad you invited me back on here. Always good to be here.
And what's crazy about it is that you're right. It does feel like it's the Wild West. Everything's buzzing. And I think a lot of people think, oh, well, silver's at $40 an ounce. It's kind of too late. I just bought a bunch more silver at $40 an ounce. It's like, no. Yes, it was great to buy it at 17, but it's also great to buy it at 40. Gold at 35, 3,600, historic highs. But there's a lot more happening, right? And that's why I love having you come on, because you're a sharpshooter when it comes to understanding precious metals markets, silver, gold, what's happening. But you also know how those markets tie into crypto, how they tie into bigger geopolitical events. And so for today's show, I think what we're going to be doing is just looking at all the crazy stuff that's happening with gold and silver and what it means. Because honestly, I think that we're on the cusp of some pretty seismic shifts, not just with precious metals, because it's not just about those. To me, precious metals are like the canary in the coal mine of other major things happening in the world. And so we're going to have some fun today.
Yeah, you talk about a seismic shift. This is like a 9.99 earthquake happening right now. The whole world is stampeding in the gold stocks, the units. I mean, the ETFs are flying. Everything's on fire. Everything's flying, and the money's pouring in. I think it's going to go. We're going to be at 4,000 gold here pretty soon, and there's so much going on. It's insane, but it's great. But it's everything. All of us precious metals guys, we've been waiting for this. This is a full blown bull market here, and this one's not stopping. This one's not stopping at all. So it's going to be monstrous.
Oh,
what topics do you have here? I'm curious because there's so much going on.
Well, I've got a few things. So I've got a video I want to play from Gary Savage, which we'll get to. Which I think actually, how about we start with that? Because so there's a guy, Gary Savage, precious metals guy. He's got his own kind of precious metals club that he's been running for a while, and there's a video. I'll play it. It's a short little clip of an interview. It's a minute and a half long, where he says, I think the price of gold, it's going to be a piece of cake to get to 10,000. And I think it's not unreasonable that silver could get to 500. Now, it's easy to look at something like that and say, oh, that's just speculative. And it's, of course, everyone, if, especially if you're in it, you think it's going to keep going to the moon. But when you look at precious metals from the perspective of the big global issues, and you look at the suppression of precious metal prices, it's not an ordinary commodity. It's something that, I've done extensive interviews with people like David Jensen and others talking about how the mechanisms have been used, especially in the 70s, once they decoupled gold from the dollar, how they've used these mechanisms to keep the price of gold and silver suppressed. And so what Gary's talking about is that it's what we're seeing. The mechanisms they've used to control the price of gold and silver are starting to fail. And what you're going to see once it fails is a significant change. And so I'll play this really quickly. It's a minute 37, and then we can just dive in and go from there. And I've got some other news bites, some stuff about Saudi Arabia, some other crazy stuff happening. But let's start with this video from Gary Savage. Again, minute 37.
And the problem is the price of silver is just too low. And the problem is the price of silver is just too low. So the price needs to go up, and then you'll, supply and demand will balance out. But the problem with suppressing price is that when it breaks, price doesn't just go back to where, the normal level, quote unquote, normal level would be. It pendulums way too far to the upside. And so the suppression of the gold market and the silver market for literally several decades is almost certainly going to result in gold going much higher than it would have naturally if they just let it trade normally. And I think the same thing for silver. And that's, I've made this prediction multiple times. I think the price of gold it's going to be a piece of cake to get to 10,000 before this bull market's over. And silver, $100, that's just way too low. I've said this. Silver's going to be $100. Silver's going to be a piece of cake, but that's way too low. I think 250 is probably going to be a piece of cake, and I think it's not unreasonable that silver could get to 500 as we, go way too far to the upside, just because it's been held down for way too many years and it's created shortages and a deficit. And then, like you said, there's so many industrial uses that are coming online that the demand for silver is just going to increase as we go along.
So you made some important points there, and I want to hand it to you. To me, it's kind of like a dam. If you take a normal river, has a strong flow to it, if you then dam it up and you stop that flow and you restrict it, however, as long as that thing is dammed, the pressure is building. It's building. It's building. When you open that dam, the pressure is going to be 10 times, 100 times what it was if you would have just let it flow naturally. And I feel like that's what's happened, is that they have artificially suppressed the price of silver and gold for a lot of reasons, but for so long. And now these mechanisms are breaking, and there's detailed discussions as to why it's, a lot relates to LBMA over in London. And it, really, like, fundamentally, people are realizing that the paper markets for gold and silver are a complete sham. And so their ability to manipulate supply and demand of these metals is failing, and people are realizing, I want to hold the physical thing. That's what we're seeing looking at the COMEX trades and everything that's happening. So I want to see, what do you think when you hear him say that? Is he crazy, or what are your thoughts?
Oh no, I'm in full agreement. He said $10,000. We had an interview. I said I believe $10,000. Like he said, a piece of cake. I agree 1,000,000%. I think in one of our interviews a couple of years ago, I said I would not be surprised to see gold at 15,000 and the Dow Jones at 15,000 at a 1-to-1 ratio. We're gonna see that 1-to-1 ratio. 15,000 Dow, 15,000 gold, 17,000 Dow, 20,000 Dow, 20,000 gold. I think that's a possibility. I kind of focus on the 15,000 gold, 15,000 Dow, even 10,000 gold, 10,000 Dow, because the Dow is completely, it's, the Dow's due to crash. It's this month, next month. I think it's pretty much the writing's on the wall. The only thing that's keeping up the Dow is the fact that they're having these stock buybacks, record buybacks, that's keeping the price artificially high. Now, when you talked about silver, I think 225 silver can happen. Well, 120 something. If we go by the Rule 589 piece here, I think the number is that they're allowed to let silver go up till the circuit breakers go up. I think it's $12 a day for 10 days. What's 120 plus 50? We're looking at 175 right there. And then the market forces, I think 225 could come within a 2-week period until either it slows down, people start peeling, people will naturally be dumping at their portion. Doesn't mean it's going to go down, but people will be selling on the way up because people are conditioned for what? Silver always goes down. It's like, when silver goes up this time, it ain't going back down because it's a number one. 2 weeks ago, Trump put silver on the critical minerals list. Not in the news, it's critical mineral, which also means that it qualifies for funding to be mined out of the ground. When Trump talked about taking minerals and opening up military bases, I believe he's talking about taking rare earth and silver and gold and trucking it and storing it on military bases because they want to back the dollar in the future with gold. But back to his $500 range, my position with my group is $1,000 silver on the low side and 1,500 on the high side. And there's arguments for all these numbers. For me personally, I don't change. I have been holding that 1,000 position here for a while. Makes sense. If we go to $10,000 gold and we have a 10-to-1 ratio, the natural ratio coming out of the ground, 7 ounces of silver, 1 ounce of gold is the current ratio coming out of the ground, 7-to-1. Historically, 10-to-1 for me, it's kind of an arbitrary number I've taken. There's been some periods where we stayed at 10-to-1. Easier to configure. $10,000 gold would bring us $1,000 silver. So I believe in the 10-to-1 ratio, moving it back to where it's been historically. Some people say 10-to-1, 16-to-1, and the natural ratio is actually 7-to-1. So which is at the best one, obviously. But I think for banking reasons, I think that $10,000 gold and the $1,000 silver makes sense. So regarding Gary's position, I'm in agreement, except I think instead of 500, I'm going to say 1,000 silver here because they have to readjust it. And plus, silver is where it's at because of the crime of 1873, where they demonetized silver. Silver being a industrial metal, a jewelry as well as a currency, hasn't really been priced right to where it's at. And it's not looked at as money. And here's something else to consider too. $2 trillion of money has gone into crypto that normally would have speculated into a speculative position like silver and gold. If there's a problem in the crypto world there and there's a shift of money, we're looking at a potential trillion, 2 trillion coming into the market. But viewing silver and gold, these are educated people in terms of speculation. They're going to see silver as money. They're going to see gold as money here. So there's a lot of variables out there. I would call it Mr. Various variables where that can have an effect. And to that note, the country of El Salvador, the Bitcoin country, they bought $50 million in gold recently, 50 million. And then Tether is now buying gold mining stocks. So you can see the trend they're buying, and Tether has 8.97 billion in hard gold they're collecting. So they're converting their crypto assets to gold. I believe that's a trend that's going to start to continue. But today's news came out that Tether is considering putting 5.9 billion in profits into, oh, there it is right there. Thank you very much. Putting it into gold miners. What gold miners means, gold mining stocks. If you were in early like we were, we're going to make out. We're making a killing already. We're going to absolutely kill it when this happens. I saw that this morning. I thought, I almost fainted. I go, oh my gosh, what? I told you so. Oh, Tether. I talked about Tether. We did the crypto conspiracy together. At the end of the crypto conspiracy, what happens? They go to my world, precious metals, gold and silver. I told you so. It's going to happen here. So investors out there that are on your show here watching, there's a tsunami of money coming into the mining stock sector as well as the precious metals physical sector. You got stablecoin, Tether buying stocks, and then you've got the country of El Salvador buying physical. So again, we are in a massive real bull market right now, and it's come from all sides. The miners are on fire, the stocks are on fire, physicals on fire here. And I think we're just getting started. We got the big problem at the COMEX. Once that goes, the paper price is going to blow up. It's already what I saw gold this morning at $3,600 on the futures contract. I think December contract hit 3665. This is a freight train. I was in the last bull market working full time in precious metals, and when it started, you knew it's like, oh my gosh, it's gone, baby. It's a freight train, and if that Dow craters in the next 6 weeks here, there ain't no place to go except risk off, which is what gold is, a risk off asset. So whether you have it or not, if you have it, there's no risk. It's risk off, even though you hold it. You hold Bitcoin, it's still risk if you have it. People say that because you can't monetize it. Where you silver, you go down to your local coin store and say, hey, give me some money for that. Boom, we'll take it here. So in my opinion, we are in a full-blown secular bull market, and every currency worldwide is now showing record silver prices, record gold prices here. The stock market is just completely on fire because, as you know, the stocks have leverage. So if gold moves 10%, those stocks are going to move, 5, 7, 10%, 70%. They're going to 5x more. People don't know that yet, but they're going to learn it pretty soon. There's some things happening in the market. They're going to catch people's attention. I believe Trump is going to come out swinging for the fence here in the precious metal sector. I believe that we're going to see mining stocks replacing elements of the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrials here later next year when the price gets past 4,000. We're at 3,600 today. Goldman Sachs is talking about $4,000 gold. At $4,000 gold, that lights up all the accounting and all these mining stocks. They're all of a sudden, we got to redo everything. The price is higher. People are going to realize, hey, physical's great, but man, these stock prices keep going up. Maybe we should take a second look over there. And that's part of a precious metals bull market. First, the physical really starts to move, and then all of a sudden, yeah, I got my physical. But look at these stocks going up here, and a lot of guys are covering that. The GDX, the GDXU, the GDXJ, the junior miners. I mean, they're literally. That's my sector. It's on fire right now. And just, we're making money hand over fist right now. Like I've never seen so much money in my life come in, and everyone is making money right now. And so this is a real market. I've been here before, and this is one of those markets where I told my group this morning, I said, you guys, I haven't this for the first time ever. There's so much good news coming out in our sector of gold physical that I cannot keep up with the amount of good news coming out, which is a great problem to have. Why? I said, well, there's what news you want? Oh, we'll take your pick. I can't keep up anymore. Everything is flying. Everything's on fire.
It is
gold or silver. It's on fire.
Well, so this is a post. So El Salvador. So Bukele, who's traditionally been much more heavy into crypto, they just bought $50 million worth of gold. I think for the first time since the early 90s. And this is a tweet just from recently that Bukele retweeted. Right, it says "Watch your guru." Bukele reposted it, which is crazy because it's like you're seeing this shift. I know you've talked a lot about the crypto conspiracy and how there's this massive, everyone's rushing into crypto in the past decade or so, but how now you're seeing people pulling out of crypto and going to precious metals, which is interesting because even as you mentioned, Tether, a stablecoin, a crypto company, is now referring to gold as the natural Bitcoin, and they're starting to move their assets into it. But you mentioned
it's amazing. Woo!
Go ahead.
It's amazing. Well, first of all, hey, where'd you get that 50 million? Did you sell? Because El Salvador just moved a bunch of Bitcoin in separate wallets. So the rumor was they're going to be selling into cash. The fact that they're announcing a gold buy tells me they've converted some of their profit. I mean, look, Bitcoin hit 118, 120,000. Time to peel some off and get some real assets. Now he's got some risk off. He's got that metal. Once you got that metal, that's your financial life insurance. He's running down the street with a 400-ounce bar, not a little, electronic little memory stick here. So this is a trend. You see stablecoin wants gold mining stocks and Bukele wants hard assets. I mean, this is.
Have you ever laid awake at night with your mind racing, your muscles tense, and no matter what you try, you just can't fall asleep? Stress, anxiety, or tight muscles can shut down your body's natural sleep switch. You're exhausted, but your brain just won't turn off. That is where Perfect Sleep Max from Perfect Origins comes in. It's not just another melatonin pill. It's a complete formula designed to help you relax and sleep from multiple angles. So L-theanine and GABA quiet your mind and reduce stress. Usuna-purines and 5-HTP support dopamine and serotonin to lift your mood and deepen rest. Magnesium relaxes your muscles. Melatonin resets your sleep cycle. And phylodendron root calms inflammation. It's clean, non-GMO, and built to give you real sleep support. One bottle is $39, or you can save with 3 to 6 month bundles, and AutoShip brings it down to just $29 a bottle with free shipping. And every order is backed by a 180-day money-back guarantee. So go to perfectorigins.com and use promo code MIA to save 25%. That's perfectorigins.com, promo code MIA.
You and I are usually talking about this. We're the ones buying stocks. Now we got these guys. I mean, we're talking groups now. You got a stablecoin. Tether has billions. Bukele is a country. This is confirmation that this is a massive bull market here, and the public is still not totally aware of it. The gold bugs, the silver bugs, we know it's going here, but we haven't seen the herd yet. We haven't seen the running of the bulls where people are all running into a place here. But I believe that this is the month. Here we are, September 5th, 2025. I do believe that this is the month. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to see what you called seismic, what I call 0.99.9, a 9.99 earthquake is coming here, a 9.99 fine gold earthquake. And then silver's going to take hold. When silver takes move, we got $41 silver. The first time I came on the show, silver was like $16. Now,
I think it was like 16, 17. Back when this is a couple of years ago, we had to do the show, because I remember I bought a couple of monster boxes when it was at 16 or 17.
You doubled your money,
right? More than that. I was talking to my mom the other day, because I think when silver was at 20, and I said, "Mom, trust me, get a couple 100-ounce bars, get whatever." And a couple weeks ago, she's like, "Seth," she was like, "I realized like that silver's up to this, and my money's doubled." It's like, well, yeah, and it's not stopping, because what you're mentioning is the retail market in America intentionally is kept really ignorant of these issues, and they're just being told, put all your money in the 401k, hey, make sure you're in the magnificent 7 stocks, and make sure you got your NVIDIA position. And I want to talk about the stock market too, because I've got a chart I want to go over with you that is frightening to say the least, which we'll get to. But I think the key, again, whether it's looking at Bukele, looking at Tether, what are the so-called elites doing? What are the central banks doing? And we know the central banks have been buying up gold like we've never seen before over the past 5 years, like historic levels of gold, dumping U.S. treasuries, replacing it with gold, right? We've talked a lot about de-dollarization. A lot of countries are actively replacing their holdings that are in the U.S. dollar and moving them into precious metals. One thing I want to share with you, which is huge, is this post right here, that now the Saudi bank is buying silver. So silver, not even a tier 3 asset, right? Gold is now, a tier 3 asset, right? So what it says, for half a century, central banks only held gold. Russia broke that trend last year with silver purchases. Few believed it, but it is here. Silver is being remonetized. So it says, what central bank just became a significant buyer of silver ETF? A new trend change? That's right. The Saudi central bank just took a large stake in the silver ETF, right? You can see there. So this is significant. I think so, because again, I like looking at these not as, thinking, oh, here's a 10-ounce bar, what's it worth now, right? To me, that's just it's a kind of inconsequential. The real story here is the massive shift in our global financial system. I just had Martin Armstrong on a night or two ago, and what he was talking about is the global debt bubble is getting ready to pop. It's not just the U.S. housing market in 2008. We're talking the entire world is swallowed up in a multi-trillion dollar debt bubble beginning the derivatives market. The whole thing is coming to an end, right? You can't blow up a balloon nonstop. It always pops at a certain point. And why do you think all these countries, the sovereign banks, the private office families that are buying through the COMEX, they're all moving their assets into precious metals and out of the stock markets? Why is it Berkshire Hathaway is sitting on, I think, their largest cash holding they've ever had? Why is it Jamie Dimon selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of his stocks? They see the writing on the wall, but the problem is that you go watch Jim Cramer and he's saying, yeah, make sure you put all your money into these tech stocks, right?
Yeah, that's not going to end well. This like Bear Stearns 2008 when he said, "Don't take your money out of Bear Stearns," and the stock went from 125 down to $2 in a very short period of time. And I think it's going to be the same thing here. I think people really need to trust their gut feeling. Listen to guys like you. You've been persistent and consistent and been right on the money. Just like you said, your mother said we doubled our money here. Well, if anyone had talked about gold or silver back 3 years ago, I remember when we were at 16, 17, 18, I was telling my group, you guys, if you buy silver under 17, you're going to be a legend. If you buy silver under 18, you're going to be a legend. And as we got closer to 20, it's like, get your silver before we hit 20. And we were getting towards that $20. If just get it now, go all in. John keeps on pressing us to get more silver. Now it's like, did you do it? And you'll be a legend if you buy it before 20. Here we are at $41, and the game's just getting started. Like Gary Savage, 125 easy. I agree. I think this is nothing here. We really have from where my perspective is right now, it's full throttle right now. I'm in a very relaxed mode because everybody's making money. Everyone is making money. I am making money here. We're just kicking butt, and the market is just literally it's like cruise control on a jet to get SR71 full throttle here because we got in really early in the game here. So we're in the money here, and now the stocks are really just ting, it's like Vegas right now. Ding, 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 and we got along. It's just getting started. So your viewers out there, you guys, I'm saying this stuff. This market's going for years, like 9, 10, 11 years. So for the next year, don't say it's too late. It's never too late. No, this market's going for a long time. Why? Because central banks they buy ink by the barrel and they buy paper by the truckload. So the central banks have been buying relentlessly nonstop physical gold for 13 years straight. And what happened during those 13 years? Here they were buying gold and printing money, and everyone was going into Bitcoin. And now all of a sudden the Bitcoiners they're selling their gold. They're paying the high price of gold when they could have bought more. So to me, me in my position, the crypto conspiracy, the silver psyop, that was Bitcoin took $2 trillion out of the gold and silver market. Now watch how that flips here. I will be right on the money. My theory will be perfect. It's like it's time to buy. Well, Bukele 50 from Bitcoin to gold, Tether from crypto to gold. It's like they will do this just on cue. That'll be right on the money here. I was like, my group were all like, you were right. I said, I know. I said, nobody believed me. Now we're going to make a fortune. We're going to make fortunes because we moved early as first movers in key places here to really take advantage of this here. So again, we still have, this is a wild card out there. Investors in precious metals should know that if there's a shift, it's already happening publicly. If we see some sort of event in Bitcoin that is, whether it's the crypto regulations here, that money can spook out. And there's only one place to go. It's 2 trillion crypto. Half that money can come into silver and gold and send things to the moon. Personally, I do believe it's going to happen. the laws are in place to happen. It's going to just take one stroke of a pen. And Trump is here. He wants to reset gold to 10,000, 15,000. He wants to back the U.S. Treasury, the 40-year, this July under gold. When do you want to reset gold, sir? It's like, well, once we get the backing under the U.S. dollar. So, like, I've always believed that the tariff program is really spooking people out of the dollar on purpose. I tell people, I said, the tariff program, in my opinion, has always been cover for the resetting of gold. Why? Because everybody's dumping the dollar, dumping anything dollar rated de-dollarization. Why? Because Trump is tariffing them. So the Treasury is announcing their biggest buybacks ever of U.S. Treasuries. Once he gets like reverse splitting a stock, he's going to accumulate it all, and then he's going to reset the gold price, and then he's going to put it under the dollar and then jack it back up, just like Russia did in the first and second quarter of 2022. The best performing currency in 2022 was the Russian ruble. Why? Because they got boycotted. Everyone said no more ruble. It went straight down. And then when it got down about 70%, Vladimir Putin came in there and said, okay, boom, we put gold under it, bounced right back up, and they were back in business. Trump, in my opinion, is going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to tariff you. Okay, we're not going to use your dollar. We're going to tariff the world. He's tariffing everybody. And what are they all doing? We're dumping the dollar. And while they're doing that, are you buying those? They're buying. They now type in buyback. Do a search on buyback. The Treasury buyback. They're buying it all. Why? They're going to get it all in. And once they have it all in their hands, is it ready to reset now? They're going to, and all of a sudden those Treasuries are going to be gold backed, tier one assets. And then everyone's going to rush back into the dollar. Trump is a genius. He is surrounded by intelligent people. This is the way this guy is rolling. He's going to fool everyone. Nobody sees it. It's clear as day. This whole tariff thing is designed to push gold higher and to get the de-dollarization going so he can grab those dollars. But if he has all the treasuries and they're backed by $1, do you realize how rich he's going to be? It's like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to want. Why? Because now it's backed by something. Right now, let's say it's backed by war and backed by nothing. The same thing. Cash is trash. It's going to go nowhere. Don't worry. Trump he said himself, he said, we cannot lose the dollar as king as the reserve currency. That would be like losing World War III. That's what he said. And that's code for we're going to win. How do you win? Very simple. Tariff everyone, have them dump the dollars, bring it all in, put gold under it, bam, put it back out there. It's a gold backed dollar.
Incredible.
Asset, and it'll be backed by Basel III here. Nobody's talking about. We planned it. I know it's going to happen. I'll be right on the money here. And because of that, a lot of people are missing out on opportunity because it kind of puts people on a position where you're thinking you're almost anti-dollar. You're American, but you're anti-dollar. Trump says, he's promoting gold. And by the way, gold may be put on the critical mineral list also. I'll tell you this right now. We are going to see government funding silver mining in the United States very soon here. Very quick. Why? Because silver is now on the critical minerals list and available to get money from the Department of Defense. Well, they use silver in Tomahawk missiles, like hundreds of pounds in all kinds of areas.
Data centers.
Also, yeah. Silver is money too. That's another thing. I do believe that we're going to go back to some sort of bimetallic system here that's going to be issued into the system of the future because it was issued in 1873, the crime of 1873, they demonetized silver, but that was under the old U.S. corporation. After Lincoln was assassinated, the U.S. corporation came in. They did well. Now Trump's going to get rid of. That's why he's getting rid of D.C. That's why he's got the military taking over D.C. There, he's taking over everything. It's like that old corporation stuff. That's going to be gone. Constitutional money is silver and gold. I believe he's going to bring that back. And when he brings that back, you're going to see silver and gold stocks soar like you'd never. People are going to be running like their hair's on fire. Oh my gosh, buy gold! And we'll be sitting here just going ding, 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 like Vegas, because that's where are you going to go? Buy Magnificent Seven? No. What are you going to buy? Real estate? No. Cars? No. What does everybody buy? What has the central banks been buying for 13 years? They bought all the gold. Well, the banks are smart. They bought when you weren't looking here. Once they back their currencies with gold, they're going to be happy to say, hey, it's a good time to get that gold there. And Trump could just come out and say, hey, we got tons of gold at Fort Knox, and those damn Chinese and Russians, they're all dumping the dollar. Well, sir, you're tariffing them all. Well, shucks, son of a bitch. They've been screwing us. We're going to screw them back. in my opinion, this is my opinion too, that's all by design, so Trump can bring in all the cards. He's bringing he's literally he's treating the United States like a publicly traded company. If you thought, okay, stock symbol USA, how many? Well, we got $36 trillion bills around the world, and it's all diluted, ain't worth nothing now. All right, everyone's just dumping it. The stock's going to 0.000001. And then it gets to the bottom, everyone hates it. That stock's a pump and dump. Dollars going down. Everyone's de-dollarizing what they're dumping the stock. Once it gets down to that 0.0001, he's already buying it back. All right, once we get it all, we'll put the gold up. That's what he's going to do. Watch, it's what he's going to do. And he's going to come out as King Trump, the golden era, and silver will be money again, gold will be money again, and he's going to redo Fort Knox. Hey, we got more gold than we thought, and so let's jack that price up. And Judy Shelton said herself, we'd like to get a 40-year treasury bond, and she said July 2026, which I agree with her, and that means between now and July, you turn on YouTube, everyone, de-dollarization, dumping the dollar. Everybody says the same thing. Cash is worthless. Mark my words. Trump will bring back King Dollar backed by gold. His toilet is gold. He's going to make that dollar, and it'd be pretty easy. How do we do this, sir? Well, just count the dollar bills, count the gold, and
revalue
hit the button, and then we're in business.
We've also got this. August 1st, the Federal Reserve put in their Fed notes official reserve valuations, right? I'm sure you saw this, right, John? I'm sure you did. You're talking about saying this is an official note from the Federal Reserve talking about the revaluation of gold, saying that with public debt at high levels, some governments have begun exploring financing additional expenditures without raising taxes while also not increasing public debt outstanding. One possibility is using proceeds from valuation gains on gold reserves, as has been floated in the U.S., right? So there's that, that changes a lot of things. But one thing I want to just kind of draw your attention to, that I don't want to lose the narrative of a particular thing I wanted to bring up, is this book right here, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. I'm not sure if you've read this. I recommend everyone read this book, right? So the story behind this is that supposedly this was a manuscript that was passed out at one of the very first Bilderberg meetings. I think it was like 1958. It was private. There's a guy that was buying up copier machines, and he found a copy of it stuck in it, actually sitting in a copier machine that he was buying up. He's buying up mass amounts of copier machines for parts. Found a copy of it, ended up publishing it. If you read it, it's prophetic. Supposedly it's from 1958. It talks about.
I'd like to read this.
Oh, it's mind blowing. Like the social engineering, everything we're seeing happening here, it goes back to this document right here. But one thing they talk about in there is the essence of basically what they're doing is using all these mechanisms to get the general population to put all their hard-earned blood, sweat, and tears into fake assets with artificial value, that then every so often they shake the system, those artificial assets collapse, right? The elites come in, the bankers come in, they buy everything up, okay, then they build it up again, they get everyone confidence in the stock market, all the things, it shakes, it falls apart, they come in, and it's a way of basically harvesting all the energy from the population, right, through the resources, so that in the end, no one owns anything except for a very small amount of people. And I think that, you've talked a lot about the crypto conspiracy. To me, I think that the crypto, which I just checked my Coinbase, I think I have $1,000 in Bitcoin. That's the most I've ever owned, right? Because I think I bought it because I was doing an online purchase from another country and it was easier to use Bitcoin. So I threw some money in the Bitcoin wallet. I think that crypto is exactly that. They've got everyone so focused on buying crypto that no one is actually putting their money into real assets. I think the same thing as the stock market. To me, the stock market in many ways is just as fake and inflated as the crypto market, right? They've convinced everyone, oh, my stocks are up 6% this month or 10% this year. What they do is they get everyone to take their real hard-earned money, instead of then converting it into land and gold and silver and food and commodities that actually have real value. They convince everyone, they get these government programs, tax-free, 401k, all these programs to get everyone to put all their assets into a system that we have no control over, that the banking elites and the big families have absolute control over. And then when they're ready, they collapse the system, they come in, they scoop up everything. It's the same exact pattern that's happened over and over again, yet we never learn. And we keep just saying,
it's happening right now.
like,
You're right on the money. I mean, we see it, right? I mean, that was the whole premise of the crypto conspiracy and the silver psyop. Silver went from, $50 down to $9. Who bought all the silver? JP Morgan. They bought over 1 billion ounces here. And who had the largest short position in 2008? It was Bear Stearns, the stock that Kramer said, don't sell. Who used to work at Bear Stearns? Jeffrey Epstein. Who was the banker for Jeffrey Epstein? JP Morgan here. Doesn't take too long to figure out to connect all these dots together. This is part of the deal here. And I saw a massive opportunity in figuring all that out here. And it's paying off right now, big time. And you can see that system. It was obvious to me that, Obama came in 2008. What else came in? All kinds of crazy stuff with Obama. 2008, the Bitcoin white paper, anonymous. What else happened in 2008? That was the real beginning of JP Morgan really manipulating silver in 2008. Bitcoin white paper here. So when I've told people, you watch, they came at the same time. JP Morgan manipulation, Bitcoin white paper. Watch them end at the same time. You'll see silver going straight up. I've always said, when Bitcoin dies, silver flies. That's been my mantra. It'll be right on the money here. We're at that inflection point. $41 silver. At the same time, the president of El Salvador, the Bitcoin nation, is buying gold. At the same time, Tether's like buying gold mining stocks. They have $8.97 billion in physical gold they've been buying with their crypto proceeds. Why aren't they buying Bitcoin? They're buying gold. It's happening right before our eyes, slow motion. And then, like I said, they were able to take crypto and suck out $2.2 trillion out of the speculative system that normally would have went into silver, I think, because of the nature of that. But they went into that system, which is crypto. And now, there's still, to this day, there is nothing backing these things. If they apply Basel III, gold, the new system here, to crypto, there's going to be challenges there. And I think people are going to see this soon, especially since they're unregulated. There's no customer service. I lost my money. Too bad. It's unregulated. Gold and silver, I got my gold right here. I think we're at that inflection point, and I'm on it right now. I'm telling my people, get ready, you guys. I'm watching. When you see that big decoupling, when Bitcoin makes that big nosedive and silver takes off, that is the end of the silver psyop. And people say, why do you call it a psyop? I said, because psychologically, people, if you bought silver in 2011, you got punished. You got once bitten, twice shy. Oh, silver. Oh, and then of course, silver always goes down. Silver always goes down. Silver always goes down. Not this time. Not this time. It's over. It was planned this way. It was absolutely planned this way. And just like I said, I've said this before. I'll say it again. The euro is going away. The euro will not exist. The euro will cease to exist, and it'll be back. And don't be surprised if Trump comes in there, puts either the gold under the euro or actually pushes the dollar into Europe. I've known this for a long time. I won't be surprised one bit here. And Trump is Patton. Patton took over Europe. Now Trump has come in to follow up, taking over Europe financially here. And that's what's happening there right now. And we're going to see that. And gold's going to be a big part of that also. But what we see right now in the system, what you just described, this anonymous thing here, imagine if they didn't develop Bitcoin and crypto, that 2.2 trillion would be in special pressure. We would be at $100 silver right now. We'd be at $6,000, $7,000 gold right now. That's the last thing these guys wanted. How are we going to, we can't operate Wall Street at $5,000 gold. We can't operate Wall Street at $100 silver, because the minute that happens here, people just get out of their equities and they're going to take silver and gold. And that puts out Wall Street, all these Magnificent Seven stocks. There's going to come a point in time, Magnificent Seven, no more. It's time to buy silver. And then you're going to see that stuff just go down, and then the metals will go up. It happened in the last two bull markets. And here's probably the most critical number to remember. There's a chart out there. I forgot his name. Really puts out some good work. Gosh, I want to give him credit. Anyhow, put a chart talking about the percentage of investors that are invested in precious metals and global miners. At the beginning of a bull market, only 1% of investment dollars are placed into gold and silver assets. At the end of the bull market, it's between 28 and 30%. I believe it's going to go the highest ever, 35 to 40%, because Trump is going to bring gold in as money again. And we're going to see a lot of people are going to get caught off guard, not underestimating the strength of this market. And it's really important to know that there's only, you may have a stock that may be up right now, but we're at 1%. We got 30. It's like, I went surfing on a 1 foot wave. I said, well, there's some 30 footers coming here. So you ain't seen nothing yet. There's a tsunami of money coming into the precious metal sector for physical as well as the stock market. We're only at 1%. It's going to go up. That's 30 times money, 30x. On top of that, the mining stocks have leverage built in, 5x, 7x, 10x. Sure, that's 30x here, plus multiples in each stock. That's why we're going to see so many people become millionaires so quickly because of these leverage proprietary numbers here. And I've worked on this for a long time, and it's working. I mean, it's absolutely working right now. So we're just in the beginning of a massive, we're not going to, I think a lot of people are going to underestimate the power of this. Why? Because during the silver psyop, I called it a psyop because psychologically, if you bought silver, you meet a million, I bought silver, $50. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's a horrible investment. So I bought Bitcoin. Well, after 10 years of that, now that you have 14 years, now you're in the Stockholm syndrome. Bitcoin's great. Silver's going nowhere. Hey, silver's at $41, my friend. We're up 100 and something % on it. Oh, they didn't see it. Why? Because it was stealth market. Now, I got news for you. We're only like $8.80 away from $50 all-time high. We're looking at a 48-year cup and handle, baby. And that handle is long. And when that thing goes, you're going to see silver go right past $65 on 100. And people say, oh, it'll always go down. I said, Dad, you're suffering from the Stockholm syndrome. You're still a prisoner of the past programming.
Well, also,
right? Getting people, yeah.
To think that it always goes down.
And let it go.
To think that it always go down, to believe that, you also are still believing that all the mechanisms for keeping it down are still in place. But once it breaks out, those mechanisms break. That's the key. Something I wanted to also throw out there in terms of the PSYOP is that what kind of people, talking about the retail level, right? Which is a lot of money in the retail level. What are the kind of people that oftentimes are the ones buying crypto? They're the people that are anti-government. They don't believe in centralized money. They don't believe in the Fed, right? These are the people that before crypto was here, they were the ones buying up gold and silver as their protection, as their way of securing themselves. They knew the Fed was a scam. They knew the fiat currency was a scam. So, but then they create this new cryptocurrency, and all those people are thinking, silver's down and whatever, I'm going to go into crypto. So it's also taking a very special market of people that are the ones that are really the ones they have to capture. And it's convincing them to put their money into this. Really, it's a fiat. Like it's a completely, it's only driven by the global demand. There's nothing backing it, right? If that demand shifts exactly. But also one thing I want to pull up here, as you talk about the stock market, this is a post that really hit me. This guy says, this is from Mr. Uppy, okay? He says, we are officially in uncharted territory. U.S. stocks are now pricier than before the Great Depression and the dot-com crash. History says this doesn't end well. And this is interesting. This is obviously this is from Bloomberg, and they're looking at the U.S. stock valuations hitting all-time high. Well, look at the pattern here, okay? When did it hit the all-time high before? 1929. We're now just above. Obviously, this has been adjusted to reflect, the stock market wasn't at $45,000 or whatever, back then. But 1929, 1965, 1999, dot-com crash, and now all-time high. You look at this chart, you see the cycle. This only goes one way. It's not going to keep going up. You're not going to have Dow, and S&P hit these, double in the next couple of years. You can see this is the cycle. And this is the problem is a lot of people are still thinking, wow, look at Magnificent Seven, look how good NVIDIA's going. And unfortunately, a lot of Americans, now not the people that are watching this show, they're smart and they've already taken action against this. But for your average American, they're just thinking, great 401ks, great returns, I'm going to keep it. I watched my dad when I was a kid. Okay, my dad worked for AT&T, which then he worked for Lucent Technologies, technology company. At that time, his 401k, I remember it was all tied into Lucent. It was Lucent stock in 99. He had about $100,000 in Lucent stock. That was his 401k. That was my, for our family, that was his retirement. That was everything. That was the nest egg for my entire family was my dad's 401k. He was just a 9-to-5 worker, good guy. I remember seeing as a kid and hear my parents always going back and forth. My mom saying, Ed, the stocks are down 20%. They're down 30%. They're down 40%. And his entire 401k got wiped out to, I think, maybe $15,000, $20,000 because of that 1999. And my concern is that a lot of Americans are going to have that exact same thing happen. And when that happens, that's when the big bankers come in and they start buying up everything. And history keeps repeating itself.
I think you're going to be 100% correct. And here's the deal. Like you talked about systems that hold people in, invisible weapons. If you stop and think about it, if you have your money in a 401k, I'd like to borrow some. They're going to charge you for your own money. If you pull it out, they're going to penalize you. So it's like going to school and the teacher's got a little ruler. I'd like to take a withdrawal. No, you're not. I'd like a little bit of money. It's going to be penalize you. We're not going to match you. I want to take my money. We're going to do, now I know, because I have a lot of my people who got rid of their 401ks and got in the market and did really well. And it's designed to punish you, to keep you there, like ransom. We have your money, and can I borrow some of my money? Sure you can. We're going to charge you interest on your own money here. It's designed to keep you in there as a silent weapon here. When you could, if you had taken your entire 401k out the fourth quarter a year ago, I got out of my 401k, took the penalty, and I put it all in the GDX. You doubled your money. What? Yeah, GDXU is up like on fire. I think it's up. I think it's up like 100%, 80, 90% for the year. You mean I'd have sold my 401k and bought the? Yes, you'd be up. And the thing is, you'd be out of the system though, and it'd be your money. You're in control. Your custody, and you won't have to be talking to the man up there. I'd like to borrow my own money.
Yeah. Well, even look at metals. So here's gold in the last year. It's up 42%.
On fire.
Right? Silver last year. Let's see, where's it? Okay, silver. Oops. That reset. No, I don't want 3 days. I want 1 year. Here we go. Silver, 1 year, up 45%. Right? So, if a year ago you're watching Men in America and you say, I'm going to take my $100,000 401k, I'm going to put it into silver and gold. It's now worth, $150,000. I mean, it's right.
And if you'd have used a leverage ETF, like the AGQ, which is 3x leverage, you'd be up 145%.
There you go. There you go.
It's just, there's so many opportunities. And I think a lot of people in the audience need to know that there's a lot of these tools that are out there, a lot of products that you can see that are paper derivative of different types that fit what you're looking for. But there are not a lot of people out there promoting or talking about this because their management doesn't want them to. I put people in the AGQ back when we were in the 20s. It was 3x leverage. We just sold it at $40. I mean, like we cleaned up. GDXU, I think, is up 92% for the year. It's like, okay, we peeled something. I want to go over here and do this. There's a lot of money being made right now. And it's a reflection of the fitness. It is a reflection of the strength of the physical bull market here. And they both go together here. So right now we see $3,600 gold today, $41 silver, but it's just cruising there. It's not like we're not talking about spike. It's been sitting there at 3,500 for months. So the base is built. We're going to go higher here and it's going to continue to go up here. But I think that this bull market right here, you just can't go wrong. I think a big mistake people are going to make also is selling too early. You want to work with a pro. You want to work with a winner. You want to know with someone who knows what the heck they're doing here, because people make these mistakes. A lot of times people ask me what I do. I've been in, this is I professionally jumped in the market back managing millions in silver back in 2006. So here, this is 19 years in the business. I've seen everything. And the one thing I've noticed more than anything is people say, so John, you work in silver. Yeah, I bought some silver. It's like, oh, that's good. As much as you can get. Yeah. Get some, get 1,000 ounces at least and sit on it and go long. But then I start hearing more and I'm thinking, well, there's some other things you can do to make more money. You can make a lot more money, but people they just think that it's, I bought gold, I bought silver. It's the end of the day. It's like, there's other opportunities out there. And I know I've had a lot of my people come to me. I only do physical. 6 months later, I want to get in the stock market. Why? Why do you want to get in the stock? Why would you want to do something like that? Because I see how much you're making over there. The truth is this, your physical is your pile at home. That's your life insurance. You don't go to Vegas with your life insurance policy and put it on the table. You put it and bury it over here. there you go with your cash, So, physical is your economic life insurance. Stock market, there's different risks in there, but the risk is different. Like for someone like me, I've been in for so long that it's like for me, I tell my guys, look, my experience is this. I jump out of the airplane. I throw the parachute out of the airplane. I jump with no parachute and I will fly down, grab that thing and put it on and then fly down. I go, but that's risk taking. That's high risk, super high risk, but that's where I live. So I'm used to it. So what? It's relative. What may be subjectively risky to you may be boring to me. Oh, that's not risk. That's nothing here. But I'm a high risk, high reward guy. That's me. Anyone knows me, works with me. Perez is high risk because I want the high reward. I want that 5,000%. I want that 10,000, 15, 20,000. I don't want to be, man, 20. I want 25, 30%. No. I want thousands. I want 4-digit gainers. I want triple digits all day long. And they're out there in markets like this here. So a lot of people are not exposed to that yet. I think in the future, we're going to have some events coming and stocks moving to where it becomes more and more popular, where physical holders are going to start to say, I like making money, but there's guys over here got a silver stock. He's making all this money. How do I get involved? How do I get on this? That's coming soon. I think that's coming here very soon here.
Well, so John, I'd love to keep going, but unfortunately, because we talked for about an hour and a half before we started recording, we've kind of run ourselves out of time. But as we're wrapping, I want to bring up your website, realjohnfperez.com. I'll make sure that the link is in the description. You've got a club on Telegram, which you walk them through. I'm much more of a conservative, kind of take it, hold it in the hand, bury it in the ground. But in terms of looking at other ways of kind of tapping into what's happening with the mining stocks, there's no one better than you. People can follow you on there, and we'll be doing a show.
The best in the world.
You are. I genuinely think you are. And what we'll do is maybe in a couple of weeks we'll do another show, just focus on that end of things. Just focus on what's happening with particular stocks, mining stocks, because there's also a lot of movement in there, which I want to kind of tap into. That's a whole show's worth of discussion just to get into the basics of it. But anyway, I'll make sure that your link is in the description so people can contact you, join your club. And I feel like, gosh, we've been talking for an hour and it's just flown by. But I really appreciate you coming on and giving us your time. And I'm looking forward to doing this again very soon.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll tell you, it's really exciting. I can say right now, there's a level of peace going on right now in our group. Everyone's like, we're making money. We're making good money here. You got your silver, good. You got your gold, but now they're starting to learn leverage, and we don't use leverage or margin. We just there's invisible leverage out there. If you know where it's at, it's a lot of money really fast. And for most 99% of people say, oh my gosh, I don't do expiration penny stocks. That's because they don't know what the hell they're doing. I make people millionaires in my sleep, and I got the proof to do it, to show for it too. Plenty of testimonials. But anyhow, thank you, Seth, for all your time. Always enjoy being on this show.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Well, thank you, John. We'll be in touch. Maybe a couple weeks or so we'll do our show, and I think we're going to have even more fun then. So thank you, man, and take care, and let's be in touch. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. I told you it'd be high energy, and I don't think it disappointed. John is just a phenomenal person to talk to. He's smart, he's awake, and he's really, really sharp when it comes to these things. But just on a side note, in conclusion, I'm not a financial advisor, so take this with your own grain of salt and follow your own gut and follow your own research. But if by this point you haven't positioned some of your wealth into gold and silver, I highly recommend you consider that for like a lot of reasons. There's just a point that I really do think there's a good chance it's going to go up significantly in value just by looking at how much it's been suppressed. And I've done shows where I've shown all the different mechanisms with showing how the central banks are suppressing the prices of gold and silver, because for one, gold and silver are that canary we talked about. So when the price of gold and silver are going up so high, they're showing a lot of things. But one of the things they're showing is how the dollar value is dropping. Okay. So the LBMA, some of the main mechanisms they've used to suppress the price of gold and silver, these mechanisms are failing now. People are waking up, right? The main mechanism they've used to suppress these prices is through paper contracts. It's how you take something with a limited supply, like gold and silver. You can't print them unlimited like dollar bills. but they create the paper contracts and convince people, oh, there's a lot of liquidity, there's a lot in the market, so the supply and demand. Well, there's a lot of supply of paper saying, oh, I own 500 ounces of silver, but that same paper is being held by 30 other people. And so people are waking up for that. They're calling in the physical delivery, which is changing things. So the mechanisms they're using to keep these prices down are failing. So that's one thing I do think genuinely that we're going to see the prices go up higher than most people would even imagine. But look, I'm not a speculator. That's not my main drive here. There's a lot of things that could increase in value, and a lot of people play the stock market, make good money. That's not the point here. The fundamental point is, as we talked about in the show, going back to that silent weapons require wars, it's the same pattern over and over again. The elite bankers and this cabal that's controlling us through money and through everything it controls through its money, what they want us to do is take our hard-earned work, take our blood, our sweat, and our tears, and put that work into assets that we don't have control over, that they can shake up and take from us. And it's how they do it over and over and over again, is they convince people to put their money in the stock market, to put their money into cryptocurrency, to put their money into things that can actually lose their value overnight, as I talked about seeing my dad go through that in 1999. And so I really do believe that we're heading into some sort of quite turbulent times with the stock market. It just can't keep going up, right? Look at inflation, look at the cost of everything going up, right? So there's some big changes that are happening. And for me, my own perspective is this metal right here, it's insurance. Okay. Obviously, look, it'd be great if I have a bunch of silver. If silver goes up to $300 an ounce, like great. Okay, I'll pay off my house. That's wonderful. But the key is that if there is a big shakeup, and not just if, it's when there is a big shakeup, the people that are stuck holding the hard assets are the ones that get through that. The people that have most of their assets sitting in digital numbers, in a bank account somewhere, in a 401k, in the stock market, those numbers can get wiped out. And you can get locked out. When we saw the banks, we saw, Silicon Valley Bank and the handful of banks that were failing, people couldn't even get their money out. They couldn't even log in. Even we've seen recently when there's been, bad trading days and the market has major, shifts to it, people, they can't even log in their trading app to move their money out. So it's a trap, right? And honestly, I think the 401k has been a great plan from the perspective of the bankers to convince everyone, hey, here's an easy way. It's tax-free, where your employer's going to match it to put all your money into our systems that we control. And that's why I'm a big fan of gold and silver. It's the same reason why I've got guns, I've got food, I've got land, is because I know there's some sort of reset coming. And I'm not scared of it. I'm preparing for it. But this is one of the ways, is to hold this in your hand. And so if you have someone, if you have a company that you trust that you can buy from, if you have someone local, like a local coin shop, and say the owner and they're really honest and that they're not selling you fake stuff. So I used to be in this industry, I used to buy gold and silver from the public, and it was amazing how often I'd see fake stuff come in. So be really careful. But if you have someone that you can trust, great, fantastic. I'm not going to try to get in your way of that. If you're looking for someone you can trust, I came from the industry. I've vetted a lot of different companies before I chose who to work with. So I work with Noble Gold. I know the owner, Colin Plume, exceptionally well. They're an honest business. They're very fair in their pricing. It's not cheap. If you're buying gold and silver cheap, you're being taken advantage of. It's a commodity, right? You're going to pay a small percentage on the core cost of that commodity. It's just how it works. You can't go buy gold for 10% below spot. I guarantee you're not buying real gold if that's what someone's selling you. But anyway, so Colin Plume, Noble Gold, the website's goldwithseth.com, or you just call 877-646-5347. The one thing I like about them is that they specialize in 401ks, IRAs. They specialize in making it so easy for you to move your assets around, right? Of course, you can call them up and you can say, look, hey, I'm gonna wire you, $40,000. I want that, in silver. Great. They'll ship it to your front door. It's going to be a good price. You can trust it's real, like it's proper silver. There's no worry about that. But beyond that, if you want to do something like an IRA or a 401k transfer, they are the experts in it. They make it so easy. And so anyway, again, if you're a person you're working with, great. But if you're looking for someone that you can trust, I can tell you there's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of gold companies that are doubling and tripling and quadrupling the price that you should be paying, because they're taking advantage of the fact that a lot of people are trying to move assets into gold and silver right now. So if you want a company you can trust, it's Noble Gold. Again, goldwithseth.com or 877-646-5347. I encourage you, take action today, even if it's just a little bit, okay? Even if you only own 20 ounces of silver, you're already in the top, few percent of Americans who actually own physical precious metals. And that could really, really come in to save the day. So again, goldwithseth.com, 877-646-5347.